knowing Jesus. And we found a Pentecostal church in Manchester, and we thought, oh, this is it. These people know this is the salvation that I've experienced, and so we never looked back from there.
Excellent. So tell us then how about you're a pastor yourself now at the moment. Tell us a little bit about how that came about for you.
Well, when I got married, I was living at the time as a single person with a family, and we were ministering together. This was the couple that Nancy, my wife, had first met in Canada. But when we got married, obviously I needed to make my own life, get my own home and everything. And so we were looking for a church, particularly we were looking for a church that would be good for our children. Say our children, Nancy's children, who had become my children, who were 14 and 12 at the time. It's they'd had quite an upheaval in their lives of moving. They had a big family in Canada, lots of cousins and everything. They'd left all of that behind to come and obey the Lord in what their mum was telling them. So it can be a really difficult transition, the teenage years. So we really wanted to make sure that they were brought up in a church that would have a good youth group. And we found a church that was great, and we were members of that church for a couple of years. And then the pastor of the church asked me if I would be willing to join the pastoral team of the church. I don't have any Bible qualifications. I've never been to Bible college, never been to a seminary, never been to anything. I've just met the Lord. And so on qualified by experience, I was brought onto the pastoral team of the church. And I've been there ever since. We were a church of around probably just under 200 people at the time when I joined. That was in 2006. Now, in 2024, we had a New Year's Eve service. There were over 1,000 people there.
Wow.
So it's really grown. God has blessed it. My son, Jesse, my eldest boy, is now on the pastoral team as well. And he's going to take over as the senior pastor of the church shortly. So it's been a real blessing to see him coming into that as well.
Now, when you came to the realization of the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and you left behind the Catholic Church behind you, how did that affect the family? Because I know there's certain pressures on people to bring their kids up who work as Catholics.
Yeah.
So how did it affect you and the family?
They were very disappointed. I think for a strong Catholic family, it's almost better to be a complete non-believer. If I'd said I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God anymore, that would almost have been better than to say I've left the Catholic Church and I'm joining another church. That was almost the unforgivable sin. So it was very difficult, but I have to say, they were gracious and they understood and they supported me in as much as they could. I'm sure they would have loved it for me to continue being in the Catholic Church. They would have loved it for me to become a priest and whatever, but they, I told them the gospel. I told them my experience. I told them what had happened to me. I told them the reality of it and how that was so different from what I've been brought up with. I appreciated the upbringing that they'd given me, but, I found the reality. And yes, they were gracious about it. My mum just passed away a couple of years ago at the age of 96, but she was always very supportive of my marriage, supportive of the work that I did in the church. So God bless them for that.
Excellent. I mean, I went through the same experience myself when I became a Catholic with family. You become ostracized and they don't talk to you. And
yeah,
I know exactly where you're coming from. So I'm pleased that, how strong were you in that, the fact that, because you were brought up for so many years, was there a big pull, or was it the fact that you found the truth and that was it? Nothing changes.
That was it. There was no pull. There was no pull. I knew what I'd found and I was determined. It was just like there was no pull back to music. There was there could easily have been a magnet pulling me back. Oh, why don't I get back into that what a life, what a tremendous career I could have and everything. There was none of that. I just knew that I found something better. It was quite radical. It was quite radical. I knew what I had, and I knew that that was what I wanted to do, and I was willing to leave everything else to do that.
Now, the first big change in life came when you found a realization of Jesus, but the second big change in life came when you found a wife. Okay,
Yeah.
You were, shall we say, quite old in terms of getting married. You'd settled in your life. How big a shock to your lifestyle was that when you met and married?
Tremendous shock. Tremendous shock. It's you've heard the story. You know how it is an absolute. You can't argue against the fact that this is God bringing you together. Supernatural communication, dreams, visions, prophecies, everything coming together. That she knew 100%, I knew 100%, and it was just an incredible thing. So there was no doubting it. But it's a strange thing, George, that I remember the day after all of that, that Nancy then went back home to Canada, and I sat there and I thought, what have I done? What on earth have I done? It was like my mind was my human mind, my spirit knew what was what. There was no doubt about it. But my mind was saying, what the heck's he done? He's just given his life away to somebody who has no idea who she is, and how is this going to work? And how are you going to find a home? And how are you going to find? I was working I was working voluntarily. I was staying at this house. They gave me my bed and board. They all of the expenses that I needed, they provided, but I didn't earn a penny. I had no money, I had no savings, and that suddenly I'm called to be a father. Suddenly I'm called to be a husband. Suddenly I'm called to be a provider. It was a huge shock to the system, and I had to. It caused me a good deal of anxiety. I lost a lot of weight. I didn't have a lot to lose, but I lost a lot of weight, and I was so anxious. And the Lord one day spoke to me because I was so anxious. How is the future going to work out? How is this going to happen? I just don't see how this is going to happen at all. And the Lord said to me, look, when you look at tomorrow, you are looking at tomorrow's problems without tomorrow's grace. When tomorrow comes, I will give you the grace to deal with what comes tomorrow. But tomorrow is under lock and key. You don't see the answers. You don't see the grace. You don't see the solutions today. It's only when tomorrow becomes today that you'll see today's solutions. Today's daily bread will arrive. And I thought, yeah, that settled it in my spirit. The anxiety left. I thought, God, you've brought me on this journey. You're going to see me through to the end of this journey. And sure enough, he has. He's been faithful. He's provided everything that I needed, from a job to the knowledge of how to be a father to two teenagers, and everything that goes along with it.
Now, how long have you been married now, Alex? How long?
How
long have you been married?
I've been married nearly 20 years now.
Okay, you're just a boy in marriage, so I have to ask you the question: have you learned to say, "Be obedient"?
Oh my goodness, it's a journey, isn't it? It's a journey.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Yes, it's been a wonderful journey, and God, we are very different personalities from one another. We are not a marriage of similar people. We're a complementary marriage, and that's been really important to know. Because when you're in a complementary marriage, your strong points are not the other person's strong points. In fact, your strong points are often the other person's weak points. So my strong points are not Nancy's strong points. She has weak points, but she has strong points where I have weak points. And so she'll look at me and say, what the heck is this guy doing? Does he not know these simple things? Because what comes naturally to her does not come naturally to me.
Agreed.
And I look at her and I can judge her for the things that she doesn't do right. And you can tear each other apart within minutes if you don't have the right attitude. But when you recognize that the Lord has put you together so that my strong points can be there to make up for her weak points, and her strong points can be there to make up for my weak points. So together you are more than the sum of the parts. You are a greater whole when you're together, and you recognize the debt that you owe each other. The gifts that you have are complementary, and can work together to the glory of God.
So we're looking at Team Robertson here, yeah?
We definitely are, definitely. No doubt about it, yeah.
And tell us how, I mean, you mentioned the kids that were teenagers. What did you feel like, when you had to sort of, say, oversee or look after, take on two teenagers in so late in life?
Well, again, I was like, well, I'm all at sea here. What the heck do you do? What are teenagers like? What do they want? What do they like? And it's a voyage of discovery, isn't it? But I've got to say that they were great. They were so gracious, and as I say, it could have been a disaster. Two young kids being made to leave their background and all of their friends and all of their culture and everything, and come to a strange place where life was difficult, and at that age in life, new school, new friends to make, missing everything that they had back in Canada. Very hard for them, but I can only say the grace of God was with them to lead them through that, because I don't know how much of a help I was. I don't think anybody can be a help in that situation except the Lord. But God was gracious, and they've been amazing. They just accepted me as their dad, and I just took them on as my kids, and tried my best in prayer and in everything else to just bring them up in the right way. So thank God that has it's turned out successful when it could have turned out in many other ways. But thank God for that.
Now, you said you're still on the fiddle.
Yeah, indeed.
Did any of the kids decide to pick up music or anything because of your?
My daughter did play the piano a little bit at one point, but never really went very far. She's a great singer, though. She is a worshiper in the church, and she contributes to that amazingly. So she has not only a musical gift, but a tremendous anointing to lead worship. So that's been beautiful to see. My youngest son tried the violin for a while and then dropped it, and now he plays a little bit of piano as well. But I wouldn't say that they are full on 100% gung-ho musicians like I was when I was their age.
My dad actually, he did literally play the fiddle, but he did the Irish music, my dad.
Oh, okay.
I'm a musician myself as well, so I know exactly where you're coming from. I still play and still sing. Now, looking forward, do you have any plans, or is everything just, as you said, day by day?
It is day by day. You never know. I never take it for granted that what God has for me today is what he'll have for me tomorrow. Plans may change. We may be, who knows, in a year's time, we may be missionaries somewhere completely different. I really don't know, but I want to submit my life to the Lord and surrender everything to him. My life belongs to him. I'm not my own. I'm bought with a price. I belong to Jesus, and therefore what he says, I'm going to do. Where he says go, I'm going to go, and just follow him. It's been an adventure so far. I'm sure it's going to be an adventure in the future. And just take it a day at a time.
He might send you back to military. You never know.
You never know. In fact, when I was a brand new Christian, and I was wondering, what am I going to do with my life now that I've left the quartet, and what's going to happen? And I said, Lord, I'll go anywhere. I don't mind. And I was thinking of all sorts of different places in the world that I could go, and he could take me. And I was rattling through all these different countries, and I thought, yeah, I'd go there. Yeah, I'd go there. Yeah, I'd go there. But I remember saying to the Lord, I said, Lord, please don't keep me in Manchester.
What's wrong with Manchester?
Manchester was a dull, grey, grimy, boring city to me. Like I said, I've been a musician. It was the fantasy was in my head, and the reality outside in the real world was awfully grey and grim. So I wasn't able to countenance staying in Manchester for a moment longer. But sure enough, that's where the Lord has had me ever since.
Okay, we asked this question of all the guests on the show here. Now, you've made many decisions in your life, some good, some bad. But for you, what was the best decision you ever made?
Oh, without a single doubt, the best decision I ever made was to follow the Lord Jesus Christ, to throw the towel in with all my other gods and my idols, to throw the towel in with music and say, I'm done with that. I'm going to follow the Lord now for the rest of my days. No question about it. Second best decision, marrying my wife.
Okay, I'll take that one. Yep. Thanks very much. Thank you very much for speaking to us here, Alex. And with that, I'm going to bring Alan back in.
Thank you, George. Thank you so much, Alec. It's been so great hearing your story. I've heard parts of it before, not all of it, and it was great hearing that today. My father played the violin, he played the clarinet and the piano, but I didn't follow on. But my daughter is musical and plays different instruments. But Thank you so much for being with us. We've really been blessed by you sharing your story.
It's a pleasure.
Alec's story, you've heard him today, and if you've heard that story today, then really follow it. Make sure you make that commitment and then you give your life to Jesus. You can also go to our YouTube channel, Life Stories Worldwide. There you'll find stories from previous Mondays, many, many wonderful stories. On our website also, you'll find interesting articles of how can I get to know God and other issues you can find there on our website. But thank you for being with us. May God bless you. May you know the peace of God that passes all human understanding. And may the joy of Jesus fill your hearts. Bye, everyone.